Hi guys, Misha here, and today we're going to talk about how to input numbers in a list in Python. So let's create a list of numbers, and we call it list numbers, and we make it into a list. And the typical way in which beginners would enter numbers in a list of numbers would be with a loop. So for instance, one would do something like this: for I in range, and if we want three numbers, we would put 0, 3, number equal to int input, and then we would append this number to the list of numbers. So we would do it like this: append number. And what this would do is you will iterate 3 times. The program will read 3 integers and it will put them in the list of numbers. And we can also, at the end, we can do print list of numbers so that we can see what is the result of what we've done. And we can launch this program, and now the computer expects us to enter 3 integers. So I'm putting 76, then I put 8, but each time I'm pressing enter, and then I'm putting 4, and again I have to press enter, and the result is we see the list. So these numbers are now appended and put into this list in the order in which we have entered them. Now, if we have to put or to enter more numbers, it becomes a bit annoying that we put one number, we press enter, we put another number, we press enter. And the question is, what is an easier and more elegant way to create a list of number by inputting the numbers from the console? And here's how we can do it. We again write list numbers, and by the way, this will be done with a lot less coding. Equal to list, then we put input and we use the function split, and that's it. And now we can run this program. So I'm putting 5, then I have a space bar, then I put 8, then I put 98, then I put 342, and then some even bigger number, and then another one, a small number, 6. And I don't know how many I'm going to put. I can put any numbers, any number of numbers. Then I, whoops, this didn't work. So, yeah, so I didn't use the correct name. That's why this happens. So let's run it again. I'm putting exactly the same numbers which I just copied and pasted, since I don't want to enter them again. I press enter, and now these numbers are in my list. Now, what you can see here is that these numbers are there in the form of a list of strings. But what's good about this is that the computer knows that each spacebar has to be treated as a separator, and it just takes the numbers there and it puts them into this list of strings. Yeah. Let's try and test something. I put 76 again, then I put 2 or 3 space bars, then an 8, then again I put many space bars, then I put some big number, then some smaller number, and then I put 1. And let's see what happens. Perfect. So the computer is indifferent about the number of space bars that we put. We can put a lot of space bars, but the computer knows which are the numbers and it puts them into this list of strings, which is quite handy. We can try another experiment and see what happens if we put commas here as separators. Well, this is not perfect, because now the computer is treating these commas as part of the strings, and so instead of numbers we have 65 comma as a string. So this is not so useful. And so if we use this function the way I've written it, the user needs to remember to just put space bars in between the numbers, but not commas and not anything else. There's one way in which we could work around this problem, but again, would not be perfect. So we can do 65, comma, then 8, then comma, then let's try a couple of space bars, and then we put this big number and see what happens. What happens now is that the computer uses the comma as a separator, and so the first number is 65, and then the second number is 8, which is correct. But then after the comma, the computer treats all the space bars as part of the string, and instead of having a string which is purely composed of the digits, we have a couple of space bars, which is again not perfect. So if we use the function in this form, then the user has to remember to always put one space bar after the comma, otherwise this will not work. I mean, of course, anything can be solved with more coding that does various checks about space bars, etc. But for our purposes, we are going to assume that this is good enough for us. So just to remind you, this is the situation where we just put the integers. We can put any number of space bars, and the computer identifies the digits and takes only them as strings. Now, if we want the numbers, if we want this to work in exactly the same way, but we want these strings to be transformed into integers, then we have to use the function map. So we put here map, and what we map is we put into integers this input.split that we used as a function, and this time if we enter again some numbers, and again we can put any number of or maybe the 0, I'm not sure it will work, any number of space bars, what happens now is that we have a list of numbers. We entered them without knowing in advance how many integers we will have. We enter them without pressing enter all the time, which is annoying. We just put them in one line, And we also don't care about the number of spacebars. The user may make a mistake and press spacebar twice or many times, but this program still works and we still have a list of integers, and that's what we wanted to achieve. So I hope this video was useful, and whenever you have a task which requires you to enter integers, or for that matter floats or strings, you will be able to do it in one code, in one easy code, and you will be able to enter this from the console in one line instead of pressing enter all the time. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you soon.